I want to get the best analysis right now from the Deputy Assistant to the President, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, a terror expert himself. Dr. Gorka, good to have you here. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to start with the Comey news. The President is not going to prevent James Comey from testifying. Why is that?
Why? Because he thinks he has no problem with allowing the former director to testify, and there are some issues that need to be cleared up. So we know that he testified already on the Hill that he's never been pressured to do anything untoward. We'd like to hear him say that again.
Okay. Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing what comes out of Thursday then. Let me turn to the tragedy in London and some of the criticism that the President has received. You saw the media come out swiping him, saying it was inappropriate for him to effectively politicize this event to target Mayor Khan. What's your reaction to that?
It has nothing to do with politicizing anything. It's about keeping Americans safe and doing what the President has done since January the 20th of this year, which is to excise, to jettison political correctness from the national security arena. And we'd like to see all people do that and all politicians do that. Whether you voted for him or not, or whether you didn't vote at all, is totally irrelevant. But we have to stop the censorship. We have to stop the Alice in Wonderland narratives that we just get on as usual, ignore the underlying ideology, talk about guns, talk about unemployment. No, that's over. We are facing, as the President has rightly said, radical Islamic terrorism. ISIS will be obliterated, and with our Muslim partners and with our allies in Europe, we will delegitimize their ideology of global jihadism. That's why the President tweets what he tweets.
So, Dr. Gorka, you then agree with what Theresa May is saying, that in other words, we cannot allow this to continue? Enough is enough?
Absolutely. I mean, how many wake-up calls do we need, Trish? How many children, how many women, how many unarmed civilians do we need to bleed out on the streets of our cities? We've suffered enough in America, whether it's Orlando, Fort Hood, or 9/11 itself. In Europe, we've had 700 people injured, in almost 200 killed in just the last 2 years. So yes, we have to come together. NATO was an amazing security and defense organization against a perceived common threat, the Soviet Union. Now we have to come together against a new common threat, which is global jihadism.
Dr. Gorka, what's so challenging here, right, is that, on the one hand, free speech allows you to kind of think and say whatever you want. On the other hand, a lot of these guys that have pulled these attacks are people that we have known about. I mean, in the case of these guys, it's people that we know about. So I would only ask you, why can't we do more to prevent the attacks in the first place? Are we that hindered by this political correctness or our inability to act, even though we know someone is conversing with a jihadist, maybe has traveled to Syria? One would only infer that they're not doing that for tourism.
Yeah, you don't go to Iraq or Syria to get a suntan. We have to get serious about this. If individuals, if young men especially, are traveling for just a few weeks or a month to war zones where ISIS has declared the caliphate, that is your red flag number one. What do we do about it, Trish? We are doing it right now. This is week 19. We are taking down all the political correctness. We're revising all the flawed policies of the last 8 years. And look at the results. Without building a wall, we haven't built the wall yet, and we've had a 73% reduction in illegal migration across our southern borders, thanks to Secretary Kelly, thanks to the men and women of DHS, Customs and Border. So it's going to take a while. This isn't week 19, it isn't month 19, it's week 19, but we are going to secure this nation, and the President sees that as his primary responsibility.
What do you think is the biggest thing that the administration has done in terms of actually being able to look at our immigration policies and assess them right now, given all these concerns about people coming in from the likes of Syria or Afghanistan or Yemen or other bad places, Dr. Gorka?
Well, there's really two massive things that have already happened. So number one is the issuance of the executive order, which we will take all the way to the Supreme Court, and this president will win because he is totally within his constitutional right to do so. It is his prerogative to decide who comes to America, and that's why he's going to keep us safe. And the second, much broader and strategic effect, is what the president did in Saudi Arabia. I mean, think about this. I've had people from the region tell me they've been waiting 16 years for the speech that President Trump gave in Riyadh when he went to the heart of the Muslim world, the Hijaz, the home of Mecca and Medina, and he said to more than 50 Muslim and Arab nations, you, quote, must drive the extremists, the terrorists, from your places of worship, from your communities. That's the unvarnished truth that will allow us to protect our nation.